I was told to check out a video of a 22-year-old preacher that was apparently ranting against atheism. I did the standard Google search for 22 and preacher. Oddly enough, it mostly sent me to videos dealing with episode 22 of the first season of WKRP called Preacher. Alright, I'm not sure how far in the future these videos will be on, so for my younger viewers, let me back up. WKRP in Cincinnati was a TV show that aired on Monday nights in the 1970s before moving to other nights in the 1980s. Alright, for my younger viewers, let me back up. Before streaming services, and even before home recording devices made it big, TV shows used to be broadcast at certain times, and that was the only time they could be watched. If you missed it and had to hope for a rerun. Anyway, this show was about a radio station and the half-dozen or so people that ran it. Alright, for my younger viewers, let me back up. Way back in the day, music would be broadcast from stations so you could listen. It was like hooking up your iPod to your car stereo, but other people decided what you would listen to, and made you listen to commercials between songs for the privilege of hearing their music. Alright, for my younger viewers, let me back up. Before self-driving cars, we had to control the vehicles we were in ourselves, and that meant... You know what? I'm getting off topic. Let's check out this preacher and see what he has to say.
God said, "And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth." And it was so. Isn't that beautiful? You know, God created the sun. I mean, you just think of the sun. God created this great ball of fire in the sky, put it in a perfect spot, not too close where we'd burn up, not too far away where we'd freeze to death, in a perfect spot.
Okay, let's start at the start. The sun is not a great ball of fire. It's a ball of gas and plasma using nuclear fusion to create heat and light. Here's a very basic description on how stars work. When enough hydrogen gathers together in one place, it'll collapse on itself. This tremendous pressure will cause the lighter elements to fuse into heavier ones. This releases energy in the form of light and heat. Second, yes, we are in the Goldilocks zone in space. Close enough to enjoy the life-giving benefits of the sun, but far enough away to keep from being destroyed by those same benefits. But you have your reasoning backwards. The Earth wasn't set up with the right conditions for the life that would grow on it. Life developed here the way it did to fit with the conditions of the Earth. With the billions of stars out there, it's not surprising that at least one would have the right conditions for life, and Earth happened to be one. Life evolved the way it did in response to the conditions on the Earth.
You know what's amazing to me? You know, evolution is like an atheist's Bible. You take away my Bible, you beat me. I'm sorry. But if you take away an atheist's evolution, that's their Bible. That's all they have.
You seem to think that the Bible and evolution have the same foundation. Here's where you happen to be mistaken. Evolution through natural selection, unlike the Bible, is not believed because of revelation. Darwin did not wake up one morning and say, "Animals change over time," and everyone believed him. He came up with his theory of natural selection, spent years gathering evidence for it, and presented it to the world. His arguments and evidence were able to convince the scientific community of its validity. Over the years, while new evidence has updated minutiae and parts of his theory, the basic underlying tenet that mutations will cause... I said tenant. T-E-N-E-T. What a Mickey Mouse operation we've got going here. The basic underlying tenet that mutations will cause small changes in organisms, and mutations that are beneficial are more likely to be passed on because it gives those organisms a better chance to survive and breed, has been strengthened through observations. Contrast that to your Bible, where the main support of it is that it claims to have come from God, so the claims in it, specifically that it came from God, must be true.
And isn't it amazing that all scientists will say is, oh yeah, they come out and they just openly say, oh yeah, the sun is burning up 250 tons a second. But at the constant that the sun is burning, within just 100 years, you do know that, or a million years, you know, a million years just seems crazy. But that's how evolutionists are. They're like little magicians, you know, you got to bring out the big numbers, try to be impressive, you know.
There's a reason that scientists use large numbers when describing the universe. It's because, and I hope you understand this, the universe is both extremely big and extremely old. Large numbers have to be used because that's the only way to accurately describe how massive the universe is, both in terms of age and size.
Space is big, really big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it's a long way down the street to the chemist, but that's just peanuts to space.
But even though it's kind of illogical. But, just 1 million years ago, the sun would have completely engulfed the Earth. That's a scientific fact.
No, it's not a scientific fact that the sun would have engulfed the Earth 1 million years ago. As I mentioned, the sun is not burning up. It's not like some cosmic log in the sky slowly consuming itself through combustion. The sun produces energy, heat and light, through nuclear fusion. Lighter elements, like hydrogen, are fused into heavier ones, like helium. When this happens, energy is released. Since you can't have a free lunch, and matter and energy are related, yes, the sun does lose some mass. At its current size, that loss is over 4 million tons a second, which is even more than you claimed. What has to be remembered is that the sun is, as scientists call it, very, very big. The 4 million tons a second seems like a lot, but when you compare it to the total mass of the sun, that accounts for only a very insignificant loss. Over its 4.5 billion years or so, due to the aforementioned fusion and solar winds, our sun has only lost about 0.05% of its mass.
Oh no, but it's logical to believe in evolution. I think the Earth's millions of years old. You're an idiot. If you think that, you're an idiot. And they're pushing this propaganda, the moon. The Bible says, let the lesser light be for the night. I just love that, how God said, hey, this is the lesser light, and it's to rule the night. So you can just have the cool of the night. And I imagine back in Bible days, they probably slept in tents. Sometimes I wish I was in Bible days. I love the outdoors.
I don't know if I'm the one to tell you this, but you're allowed to. As far as I know, there is no law that says you are forced to live indoors. Personally, while I enjoy my camping vacations with my friends, that's just for a short time. In general, I appreciate having a solid roof over my head and central heating. But if you want to live as they did millennia ago, go ahead and enjoy the dysentery. Things were not really that hygienic in the past. Nice reference. I wonder how this guy feels about video games. Probably won't even come up. And by the way, the moon is not a light. It's a reflection of light. That it's the lesser light source is the kind of thing you expect primitive men to believe, not what a supposed all-knowing deity would say.
But the moon is getting further and further away. And the moon, folks, I don't know if any of you know this, but the moon causes our tides. And it's getting further away. And so, let's just use 1 million years. They say 6.2 billion, which is just insane. But, let's just say 1 million years, for example. With the constant that the moon is moving away, we would have been flooded just 1 million years ago. And the moon still causes tidal waves today. It still causes
Yes, again it's true that the moon causes tides and is moving farther away. Currently, it's moving away from us at a rate of roughly 3.82 centimeters a year. Using paleontological data, past tidal flow can be measured, and using that data, it has been worked out that the rate of lunar recession has a mean rate of 2.16 centimeters a year between now and 650 million years ago. And between 650 million years and 2 billion years ago, it had a mean recession rate of 1.27 centimeters a year, showing that movement away is not consistent and appears to be gradually increasing. And the moon was not as close as you claimed several billion years ago. As a slight aside, tidal waves are not nearly as destructive as you seem to imply they are. Tidal waves are shallow water waves caused by various gravitational pulls. It's a common misconception, but what many think as tidal waves are actually known as tsunamis, which are caused by geological events like earthquakes and have nothing to do with the moon.
But oh no, it's just so logical to believe in evolution. I think the Earth is just billions of years old. I had an atheist tell me, oh, you don't believe we're related to that grass outside?
Well, technically, yes, we are related to plants.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
The split has been estimated to have occurred over 1.5 billion years ago. But animals and plants are very, very distantly related through a single-celled ancestor. It's been shown that green algae has genome sequences comparable to both humans and plants, showing that, yes, we are related to plants, although very remotely.
Hitler said if you can tell a lie big enough, loud enough, and often enough, people will believe it.
Exactly, which is why evidence should be used to work out the differences between correct and incorrect claims. I've had theists telling me often and loudly there's a deity out there without any evidence to back it up. Does that mean I should just blindly believe them?
And he says, if you can let me control the textbooks, I'll control the state.
Huh. I wonder then if that would have anything to do with some religious folks trying to get creationism put into textbooks and taught in biology classes alongside evolution. The difference is that evolution is accepted by the scientific community and has evidence to back it up, while the claims of creationists don't. That's why teaching evolution through natural selection is acceptable for science class and creationism isn't.
It's amazing. I don't like to get on the subject of evolution with atheists because they just freak out. They're like, oh my, I can't believe you don't believe in evolution. Why would I? It's stupid. You have to actually defy science. Oh, it's scientific. Well, what about this? Oh, I never thought of that. Oh, I never really even crossed my mind. Because we live in a school where it's just fill in the blank, fill in the blank, fill in the blank. They're not taught to logic. They're not taught to reason.
I'm not sure what school you go to. When I was in class, they didn't just say, this is what we say happened, and expected us to blindly follow. They explained why. They explained the concepts, like natural selection, and showed us several examples of how mutations can be passed on, with beneficial mutations being passed on because the organisms with beneficial mutations have a better chance to thrive and breed. Over generations, these changes will build up until one group has changed so much they're unable to breed with another group that shared the same ancestor, making them different species.
I thank God I was in a home where I at least got taught how to logic, you know?
A study of logic is something that I try to instill in my kids as well. I would make sure they would challenge their preconceived ideas and would expect them to logically argue any positions they would take. I never expected them to blindly follow me, and if they could prove me wrong about something, good for them. That's probably the reason they don't accept the claims of a deity without evidence either.
You know what all these atheists have in common? Video games! They all play video games!
Wow, you seem kind of upset that atheists play video games. You know who else plays video games? Everybody else. Video games are so pervasive that the number of players covers just about every dynamic. Choose any group and you'll probably find a decent number of them play video games. So, it makes sense that atheists will be among video game players because almost everybody is. Some of my more eagle-eyed viewers of my previous videos may notice I have a few video game systems hooked up to the TV. But sadly, with my weekday schedule, I really don't get much of a chance to play anymore, and my weekends are usually spent making these videos and spending time with my friends. I might grab a little time to play, but not often. Besides, tabletop games are where it's at. Yes, I could spend my time punching death claws in Fallout, but if I have someone to join me, I would much rather play Dominion with my family, or D&D with my friends.
And Harry Potter, you get on their channel, they're in fantasy land!
Like video games, it's not just atheists that have read Harry Potter. It's one of the biggest selling book series ever. So, while many atheists have read them, so has just about every other demographic out there. And yes, it's fantasy. We know it's fantasy. A collection of books where the characters can do magic tricks and come back from the dead? What could that be but fantasy? Here's the thing. People can enjoy fiction and still understand that it's fiction. My family and I enjoy watching Supernatural, which has slight religious undertones. But we can enjoy it for the story and not think it's real. Anybody who knows me knows I have a somewhat unhealthy obsession with Star Wars, but I know there's no mystical energy field out there controlling my destiny. It's all a lot of simple tricks and nonsense.
That's all they ever do! They can't think for themselves. They sit back and they drink Coke all day.
Coke? No. I'm a Pepsi guy. I usually keep a bottle here to sip on while I make these videos. I've actually really gotten into this wild cherry diet Pepsi they put out, but sadly, I can only find bottles of their lime Pepsi as regular and not diet, which is too bad because I enjoy the flavor. As an aside, I don't yet have a Patreon account and I don't personally monetize these videos. They are more of a labor of love than anything else. That being said, however, if they were to re-release bottles of Diet Lime to this market, I would gladly whore myself out to Pepsi. Wow, a 34-year-old reference? No wonder we're pulling in the younger viewers. Getting back to the point, like video games and Harry Potter books, soft drinks are so pervasive in this culture that a large number of people drink them from many subgroups, including atheists.
And sit behind a video game system and then wonder why, you're crazy, Brother Powell, for believing in a creator. Oh, you're insane. No, you're crazy, and you need to get off the video game system, and somebody needs to preach to them the gospel of Jesus Christ, and so that they can be saved. That's what we need.
I'm not sure if you realize this, but most of us have heard the claims about Jesus already. I'm going to give Christianity props for its marketing. You got your message out, and most of us are aware of it. We know the story. Died for our sins, came back to life, believing you get paradise. Preaching it to us will not be enough. The assertions themselves do not provide enough evidence to follow them. If you can produce some kind of evidence for your claims, then maybe you'll be able to get somewhere in convincing us what you preach is true. Huh. Wrapped up faster than normal. And I'm home alone. Guess I've got time to play with myself.
And I'm sick and tired of these stinking video games messing with people.
What did you think I meant?